من بين كل الشخصيات اللبنانية الأمريكية اليوم مقابلتنا مع الدكتور جورج حلو. دكتور جورج حلو هو مدير الآيباك بجامعة كالتك، وهي من أهم الجامعات بالولايات المتحدة. خلينا نتعرف أكثر على هالشخصية المميزة بهالحلقة.
We're off.
Dr. George, hello. We are really pleased to meet you here in Caltech. I know that you are a Lebanese-American astronomer, researcher, director of IPAC, and member of the faculty at Caltech. You were born in Beirut, and you spent some of your childhood there. What do you remember?
First, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Caltech and to IPAC in particular. What do I remember of Lebanon? Well, I have kept traveling there all the time, so for me, it's the impressions have evolved. What I remember of my childhood was that it was really an exciting place that made it possible for me to dream about going beyond and studying astronomy and thinking about the universe as a whole. And so from that point of view, I have kept this very positive impression of the country.
Mm-hmm. And were you like passionate of astronomy when you were really young?
Yes. For all the time I remember, I've always wanted to be an astronomer. From the day I started thinking about what I want to do, I've dreamt about being an astronomer. Now, I wasn't always sure I would be able to make it because it was challenging. But even as a very young kid, I am told, and I don't remember all the details, I would look up at the night sky and get excited about seeing things in the night sky. And I remember very clearly that when I was a teenager, that was something that I got very excited about. I would read books and I would study and think about how I might possibly get there. Mm-hmm. So it has been a lifelong passion, and I feel very fortunate that I was able to
accomplish your dream.
I feel very fortunate that I can actually make my living doing something which I'm so passionate about.
Of course. Because passion and builds a career, a successful one. I know that you have studied at AUB, the American University of Beirut, right. And you had your BA in physics.
That's correct.
Then you left Lebanon to come to the United States.
Right.
Why did you leave? Did you think that you will have opportunities in Lebanon?
Well. At the time I was studying there, going beyond a BA or a BS in physics in Lebanon was very difficult. You couldn't do a doctorate. And so the natural progression would have been to go to a Western university and study for a doctorate. And I applied, since I was coming out of AUB, the natural direction was to apply to American universities. Yeah. And so I applied, and I was lucky enough to get a scholarship that covered all my expenses for studying at Cornell University, and so I went to Cornell, and the idea was to study either physics or astrophysics, and then my thinking was I would go back to Lebanon and teach at Lebanese universities.
But you
But
stayed.
Of course, history was, had a different course.
Yeah. It was meant to be for you to stay in the United States. You came to Caltech, the California Institute of Technology, in 1983, and you came as a researcher. Why did you stay since?
So, again, there's always an element of coincidence or luck, if you'd like. So I happened to come here to, just as they were launching this satellite called IRAS. as it turns out, today is exactly 30 years from the day it was launched. This satellite was truly a watershed event. It was the first time that we had the ability to see the sky in infrared light in all its glory. We had the people who built it had expected that they would make great discoveries, but the telescope and the data that came from the telescope exceeded all expectations tremendously. And so I came at just the right time. I was lucky from that point of view, and I discovered a whole world. I mean, I was studying galaxies, but then now all of a sudden with all these new data, I discovered a whole new world about galaxies which I didn't know. And I got so hooked that I decided to stay, and then we found another project, and then the next infrared telescope flew, and I was still here, and the next one flew, and I was still here. And Caltech is such an environment, it's such a place that stresses excellence and intellectual adventure, that it's a very hard place to leave. Once you're here and you're fully engaged.
You get addicted.
It's very, absolutely.
Especially that every day is a new adventure, new discoveries, and new challenges.
And new challenges, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
indeed. Let's talk about Caltech a bit. I know that it is specialized in chemistry, physics, chemical engineering. Why isn't it more general and have more majors?
Well, it's a choice that the founders made of stressing quality over quantity and focusing on fewer things and doing those fewer things well. And it's a principle that we follow a lot. I mean, at IPAC and in my personal research, I prefer to do fewer things better. So they did the best they could in terms of attracting the best scientists and the best engineers, and focused on those areas. And they also stressed quality over quantity in the student body. We have only 900 undergraduate students, 1,200 graduate students, and only about 300 faculty. So it's a really limited number, and the idea is to do the...
It's an elite of students?
The idea is, yes, absolutely. It is very hard to get into Caltech. It's very competitive.
What are the criteria? Who are the students who are accepted in Caltech?
It's the students who are more than just good students. It's the students who have, who take real passion and real pride in the work they do, who are really interested well beyond getting a grade or getting a degree, who want to be, who want to change the world, if you'd like, in a certain
beautiful.
area. So that's kind of what we look for. And the same is true of the faculty. It is a very select group of people, and we try to keep it that way.
Yeah, and are there many Lebanese students? I know that before it was like one student per year. Now you have 4.
We just
students.
happen to have 4 students,
which is a good thing.
Which is great. Yeah, it's very nice. We get together with them, and it's very exciting.
Yeah,
but in a given year, there will be maybe 1 at most 2 students.
Yeah, and usually they find work opportunities here. They don't go back to Lebanon, because I don't think that astronomy is really...
yeah, so the students we're talking about, the 4 students, are in all kinds of specialties. They're not just in astronomy.
Okay.
Some of them actually are interested in going back to work in Lebanon. Yeah, but,
it's a good thing.
Yeah, but you know how it is. Young people have many factors that flow into their decisions. So.
Do you have affiliations with any university or college in Beirut? Because as I can feel that Caltech isn't very well known in Beirut or even the Middle East like other very good universities. Why is this? Because it's not advertised, or because it is very specialized?
I think it's because it is limited to the science and engineering specialties. So if you go to engineering faculties and science faculties in the Middle East, I am sure people there have heard of Caltech. But since we don't have a medical school, we don't have a law school, we don't have a business school, that limits the exposure of the community at large and the society at large. But I think it's just that those who know.
Yeah,
of
course.
Of things, yes.
Of course. مثل ما اكتشفنا سوا دكتور جورج الحلو ولد ببيروت ودرس هون بالAUB وكان بمجال الفيزياء، ولكن كمان انتقل إلى كورنيل يونيفرسيتي بالولايات المتحدة. خلينا نكتشف أكثر سوا عن حياته المهنية من بعد هالبريك. You were appointed director of IPAC in 1999.
Right.
I would like to know what is IPAC and what are your responsibilities as a director?
So IPAC is a center that manages the scientific conduct of astronomy missions. So we have, at any one time, we have multiple missions that we are working at. And so we make commitments in terms of reducing the data and calibrating the data and making the data available for our researchers here and for researchers outside to exploit the data and do the science, make the discoveries and publish the results. And so my responsibility is has two parts to it. One is to encourage my scientists and find scientific opportunities for them to do their research and make their discoveries, but also to conduct the missions and deliver on our commitments and make sure the data are available to other researchers on time. And so it involves a lot of looking ahead and finding what scientific opportunities there are in the future and laying out strategies for the future and so on.
And what is your relation to NASA's JPL?
So a lot of what we do here is funded by NASA through JPL. So our relation with JPL is a very synergistic one. It's a very interesting one in the sense that JPL specializes in building the telescopes, building the spacecraft, and on operating the missions, putting them into orbit and so on. And we specialize in making sure the scientific design is responsive to the needs, and once these telescopes are in orbit, we take all the data and we do all of the processing, we prepare the data for exploitation, we open the door between the mission and the scientists who are going to get the science out from these data.
Okay, and it's beautiful to see that the director of IPAC is Lebanese, and the director of JPL is also Lebanese, Dr. Shal Lache. How do you get along, knowing that you are also friends beside work?
IPAC and JPL would have been, in any case, close collaborators. It's a very comforting coincidence that Shal Lache happens to be now the director of JPL. It certainly makes life very easy. We are very good personal friends, as you know, and so which is good and bad, because when we get together we also talk about business.
So it's your wives who are
the wives shake their heads, but they know that that's what we like doing. And so.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to see what are your achievements, your personal achievements as the director of IPAC, and before we talk about your future projects.
So my achievements as director of IPAC, and just to be clear, one of the important things about a director is to find talent and foster talent and put together a great team. And I'm very proud of the team we have here at IPAC. They're all excellent professionals and outstanding scientists. Our achievements are mostly in the arena of saying we've taken on an involvement in a certain scientific mission, and we have been able to extract the science from it. We have enabled people to make fantastic discoveries, and we have also made a commitment to get the data out on a certain time, and we managed to do that. So, for instance, we are operating a telescope now called Spitzer, and Spitzer is making a tremendous difference in our understanding of this new class of objects called exosolar planets, that is, planets around other stars. The ability to do that depends on our ability to deliver the data. And so both our scientists and scientists in the community are making great discoveries from that telescope. And so that's the kind of achievement we have. My personal achievements are more along the lines of what research I have done or I've done in my group, and it has to do with generating a better understanding of galaxies and how they evolve over cosmic time. You know, it goes back to the days of IRAS, as I was talking about earlier. With IRAS, I discovered certain properties to galaxies, so it allows us to measure certain things and then learn from that the rate at which galaxies are forming stars, learn from it whether they are starting to form stars or whether they are about to stop forming stars. So, and then since then we've made additional discoveries in things like exactly how the population of galaxies changes over cosmic time. So if you look back 1 billion years or 2 billion years or 3 billion years, the population of galaxies, if you'd like, looked quite different from what it does today. There were more infrared bright galaxies. There were more galaxies forming stars more actively. And so you see the trend of the change of the universe. And we can measure that, and so these are the kinds of achievements that I can look at and say, well, this is what I've done.
And is it an alarming development, or it is a normal?
No.
Are we going to?
Okay, so
is the end of the world so near, or can we sit and enjoy life?
You can enjoy life. Okay. Let me reassure you, the kinds of things I look at are things that change over billions of years.
Yeah, so we need billions of years.
So nothing is going to change on the time scale of a human lifetime. So no, these are sort of large scale changes in both in time and in space, and the significance is that ultimately this is our place. The universe is where we live, right? Maybe not on a daily basis, but this is our universe, and understanding it is very important. It's like understanding, the map of your street and your city, right?
Of course.
So this is the world I live in, and understanding the history of the cosmos is as important as understanding your local neighborhood.
Of course. So what does it feel to live with your feet on Earth and your mind in the stars?
It turns out that when I think about the stars, my feet are not on Earth anymore, and it's. On the other hand, there are many times when I have to come back and deal with reality, especially if you have a center to run. Realities are.
But sometimes you're taken by your.
Well, of course, yeah. When I'm doing my research,
passion of stars, and
otherwise it wouldn't be worth coming to work in the morning.
You're right. What are your future projects now that you told us about your achievements already?
Well, a scientist's career path is always towards more science, and even as I finish one research project, I'm thinking about the next one. So my next projects have to do with looking at cosmic explosions, supernovae that explode, and what you can learn from looking at the echo of that explosion in the dust around them in the infrared. It's a very peculiar phenomenon which is not very often observed, so I'm getting interested in that. I'm also getting interested in a whole new field of study which emerged only 15 years ago, which is the dark, what's called the dark sector, dark energy and dark matter, which is a very important influence on the evolution of the universe, which we have just got the first glimpse of in the last few years. And so I'm starting to get interested in studying that and understanding it better.
I would love to know more about this dark side. It's not, there are no stars.
Right, so we call it dark
It's a dark spot in the universe.
you don't even see it as a dark spot. It's just that you know it is there because of its gravitational influence, but it does not emit any light. So it is dark, but it's there because we can measure the gravitational influence.
I understand.
Then that's dark matter. Dark energy is a little bit even more mysterious in the sense that we see its effects on the expansion of the universe, where we used to think the expansion goes on in time at the same rate, and we discovered about 15 years ago that in fact over time the universe is expanding faster and faster. So this acceleration is a new discovery, and we attribute that acceleration to something we don't understand, which we call dark energy.
Okay.
It's shorthand for something is making the acceleration happen, and it's a very fascinating and very mysterious topic.
We hope this dark energy will get to be the white or the enlightened energy, because I think when you know about something, it's, you are no more ignorant.
Right.
So everything becomes clear.
That's what we're trying to do, shed light on the topic.
دكتور جورج الحلو كان بده يرجع على لبنان، ولكن قرر يدخل جامعة كالتك سنة 1984 اللي أنجز فيها الكثير حتى اليوم. وشفنا أيضاً علاقاته مع JPL ناسا والدكتور شارل العشي. خلينا نكتشف أكثر عن حياته الشخصية والعائلية من بعد هالبريك.
I know you were married very young, and you have two great kids. They are
yes, they're wonderful
a
kids.
wonderful girl and a wonderful boy.
Yeah.
You met your wife, you were very young, and you got married very young. Was it a love story?
Oh, absolutely.
And still
and you
is.
just heard me talk about passion in my career, and of course it was a passionate love story, and we got married while I was still in graduate school, and she was willing to take a risk and come
follow you
and join me here, and so Andrea and I have been married now for 35 years almost, and it's been wonderful.
Does she get along with your career? Does she like it? Does she enjoy maybe listening to you, to your discoveries? She got used to.
Yes, I think she has of course she has an appreciation for the sort of the intellectual adventure of astronomy and understanding the universe and so on. But it's not something that she would have studied or really sort of made it a specialty out of. She's much more of a humanities and letters person.
So it's good. It's a complementary thing.
Yes.
Your daughter's name is Ariane.
Yes.
So I was smiling. It was like, Ariane gives us an idea of you picked up the name because of Ariane or before Ariane?
No, actually historically if you do the research you'll find that we named her Ariane before the Ariane rocket was flying.
Okay. I thought it came together because.
No, I like to think of her as the sort of the problem solver of that Ariane was when she was faced with the labyrinth.
Do your children also share with you your discoveries, your passion for stars?
Yes, I think they do have an appreciation. They get very excited about discoveries. Both will send me text messages when a great discovery is made, and they will say, "Oh wow, look at this." But they have not again pursued scientific careers. They both have the ability to think scientifically. That's very important. So there's the scientific literacy is there, which is very important because it's part of the whole makeup of a personality. It's really important in today's world to have scientific literacy, whatever else you are pursuing. Our daughter preferred to study literature, so she's studying
like
comparative literature. Yes, she's more like her mom. And
Mark, your son?
Mark, our son, works for Apple computers. So, but he again sort of likes to combine this artistic and technical aspects.
You don't have any hobby or artistic any?
No, I love listening to music, but I don't have any.
You don't. Are you close more? Do you feel like more close to your son or to your daughter or both? And did you spend time with them when they were kids, or it was more your wife's job?
No, I made a point of spending as much time as I could with them. I'm close to both of them in different ways. I wouldn't say I'm closer to one or the other. They're different people. I relate to them in different ways, and I think they interact with me in different ways.
You were a father at a very young age.
Yes.
Was it difficult for you, especially that you were working and you had many responsibilities?
No, I would not say it was difficult. It was actually a revelation for me that, if you're working research, you could spend every minute of your waking time doing research, and it's still not enough. So it was a revelation for me that when we started having the kids, it took more time, of course, to pay attention to the family.
Of course.
But I learned that you could actually get more efficient in your research and your work and do the same amount of work in less time.
It's so good. It was a positive energy around you, and yes. It's beautiful.
دكتور جورج الحلو حب كثير زوجته أندري، له 35 سنة مزوج وعنده ولدين، ونشوف قد ايه مهمة عنده العائلة. خلينا نشوف أكثر عن علاقته مع لبنان من بعد هذا البريك الإعلاني. I know that you go often to Lebanon. You were also honored by the UNESCO in Beirut, not like a year ago, or
yeah, it was about just about a year ago.
A year ago. So it's beautiful to be praised in your country, isn't it?
It is, and I was really touched by all the attention we got, and for me it was really important, not just because it's personal, but also because it put the spotlight on science and on research. And that's something which we really need more of in Lebanon. I talked about scientific literacy, and it's not just about individuals, it's really about society as a whole. And so having the spotlight on the sciences and on research and understanding the universe and taking looking at the big picture, not just worrying about your little worries.
Yeah,
to me, that I thought was a very nice moment for the country, and I really appreciated it.
Mm-hmm. So, is it more important to be praised in our homeland or in the country where we work?
They're two different things. It's more touching to be praised in your homeland. There's no question about it, because that's where you came from, and it's always good to be recognized. Praise and appreciation in the U.S. is sort of more professional, and so that it has a different flavor to it. So, as I say, I was really touched by all the attention we got from the people who organized the events, and also from all the other organizations that helped. I don't know if you know Diwan Ahl Al-Alam, where the
of course.
Yes.
It's beautiful to be praised in our homeland, because there's the saying that nobody is a prophet in its own country. It's beautiful to be praised in our homeland.
Yes.
I know how much family is important to you, and how much Lebanon is important to you. But as you told me, you don't have a house. You don't own a house in Lebanon. Why is that? And do you think that one day you would love to build a house and maybe spend more time in Lebanon?
The reason, I think, is mostly historical. You know how it is. We left very young. There weren't the opportunities, and we focused on establishing ourselves here, and so that's the reason. Now, looking to the future, who knows? You never say never. It's always possible. But from my point of view, maintaining the relations with families is independent of whether or not you have a place there. And what I look to also is to see in the country the development of the sciences, and in particular astronomy. And I'm very pleased to see that today in Lebanon there are half a dozen faculty members in different universities spread out over all Lebanon, who are astronomers, who are teaching astronomy and doing research. And seeing the development of astronomy in Lebanon, to me, is a very special link, and I try as much as I can to help.
Yeah.
So for me, that's kind of a new dimension of my relation to the country, and I think I value that a lot.
And how do you foresee Lebanon's future? I mean, in terms of education and scientific maybe achievements.
Education has always been an important part of the social values in Lebanon, and I, like many others, are the result of that, in the sense that there was an insistence on the importance of education, and an insistence on the importance of excelling at education. In today's research environment, when you look at international projects in astronomy, they require major resources. So, to be perfectly honest, I'm not going to tell you that Lebanon is going to have the major telescopes that will make the great discoveries, but that does not mean that the Lebanese cannot be involved in these kinds of projects and participate in these discoveries and carry some of them themselves. And so, seeing the resurgence of interest in the country, which translates into the existence of these faculty in astronomy and in physics at the various universities, I think is a very positive indication for me. I've looked at how our universities in Lebanon have recovered from the war, And I'm very encouraged because they recovered faster than I thought would be possible. And so I think there is tremendous potential. What we need is to get involved in international projects and foster collaboration and find ways to get involved in the adventure of astronomy on the global scale. And astronomy has become more and more international. This is not just about Lebanon needing to go international. Every large project today in astronomy is an international project because our ambitions have gone to the point where our projects are very expensive and no one country can do everything by themselves, not even the richest countries like the US or China or you name it. And in space it's the same. There's an increased collaboration internationally. And I think it's fitting for astronomy, which is the exploration of the universe and understanding the world outside of our planet, that it be done as an international undertaking.
Yeah, and have you been solicited by maybe Lebanese organizations or universities to come and give lecture or maybe to coordinate and cooperate in researchers?
Yes, absolutely. I have many contacts. Unfortunately, it's just timing which is the difficulty. And in fact, the Lebanese astronomers contact me when they're trying to organize conferences and so on. I always help to the extent that I can.
Yeah, of course. And what is today your message maybe to all the new generation, the ones who have dreams in Lebanon and who think that the only opportunities are just overseas and not in Lebanon?
The most important thing is if you have a dream, to pursue it. Now, where the opportunities are and where the chances are will vary. I would have never guessed that there would be that many professors of astronomy today in Lebanon, and yet it happened. Okay, so it depends on what the conditions are and what the circumstances are. So my message is pursue your dreams and keep all of your options open. You never know behind which door the success will lie, or fulfillment. It's not so much about success, it's about doing what you think is the right way to fulfill your dreams.
You're right.
And I have to add, you got to work hard.
We have to be hard workers.
Yes.
And Lebanese usually are hard
The Lebanese
workers.
are, absolutely.
Anyway, I know that this is faith. Some of the Lebanese went out of Lebanon and made successful stories like yours and all the others. And there are like successful Lebanese who stayed in Lebanon and had something to do for their country. So I think both of us have something to do, and the most important thing is to pursue the dream and to fulfill it. Dr. George Helou, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It was a great pleasure to meet with you and hopefully to see you very soon in Lebanon.
My pleasure.
شخصية جديدة لبنانية أمريكية اليوم تعرفنا عليها، دكتور جورج الحلو، اللي قدر بسنين عديدة يتميز بأبحاثه اللي بالتعاون مع JPL ناسا قدروا يوصلوا على اكتشافات كتير مهمة. أنا اليوم بهالحلقة بودعكم وبعطيكم موعد الأسبوع الجاي.
souhaitez revoir cette émission et pour plus d'infos, visitez notre site internet www.mtv.com.lb.